And now we're sitting down on our windowsill in Wuji, which is the position of emptiness. The more empty we are, the more we can receive and circulate energy. So now we're going to separate our feet, and that's an expression of yin and yang, or the opposite, left and right. And you should now begin to feel up and down. So now standing up all the way, and sense the space under the arches of the feet and under the arches of your hands. And as you sit down, expand that energy. Your arms just float up as if on their own. And then feel a blanket of weight across the shoulders, then the elbows, wrist, and fingers. And first is waving hands to the left. I just want you to feel the space that you're creating between the arms and underneath your feet. And now your right hand connects to the right foot, brings it in, reads the book. Turn, step across the railroad track, single whip, both knees bent. Then we come back to the front and keep the arms in front of you. And it's like you're holding one ball, and that ball expands, and you kick left, press the ball down, hold that ball, condense it down, and you can expand it. Kick right, and you can do toe touch. Then place that foot, no weight on it, and waving hands to the right. Can you sense this big chi ball between your arms? And now your left hand scoops in, reads the book. Make sure that this arm's not way up here. Turn the doorknob, cross the railroad track as you weight shift forward, receive with the left, give with the right. Then our left hand scoots our right toe around, right toe to the corner, hinge at the hips, and feel like you're just expanding as much as you can between your arms. Scoop up that energy. And then we condense it down a little bit as bringing the hands in. And then feel it just expand all around you. And then heavy shoulders, elbows, wrist, and fingers. And then we come back into Wuji. Okay, so I believe for most of you that that's becoming pretty familiar. Okay, so let's now add. All we're doing is adding 2 forms to the front of that form set. And then as we gain mastery over that, then we're going to end with 2 forms on the end of that form set. So we're sort of working our way out on both sides. All right, the first thing we have to do is get from facing 12 o'clock to facing our right corner. And it's quite simple. Just think of your dantian, and you need to get it turned that way. Nose over dantian. So you turn it, and your right toe goes with it. Now, oftentimes I see people over-rotate this. It's really important that you only go 30 or 40 degrees. And let's put the arms with it now. So your arms are here. And we're just getting set up for our first serve the hors d'oeuvre. So turn your dantian nose toes, and then scoop in, your left hand scoops in the left foot, and hold your big, big ball. And as you're holding this ball, make sure you're not reaching too high and your elbow is not up, it's down. Can you feel the difference? Go ahead and hold your ball for me. Can you feel the difference between this and this? Okay? If it's this, then you're leaking out all of this chi. And you have incredibly vulnerable here. Plus, this muscle is tense. Puts your breathing up here. Can you feel all of that? Now just feel like you've got a 5-pound weight on your elbow and let it sink down. Now this muscle is relaxed. You're not vulnerable here. And your breathing drops down. Okay. Then we're going to turn that doorknob underneath our right foot and we compress the ball, and then as we weight shift forward, divide the ball. So one ball floats, one ball sinks. And the reason why I'm teaching the division here of float and sink is I believe it's going to keep you from doing this. Rank. Okay? That, you'll see a lot of that, but is totally incorrect. Again, for all the same reasons, leaking the chi, tension. So instead of drawing it back, what I want you to do is sink it down. Can you feel the difference there? So just try that. Hold a ball. It doesn't matter what your lower body's doing, but just sink and float rather than pull back and pull and push forward. It's sink and float. Okay? All right. Back to 12 o'clock. We just finished getting our nice Tai Chi posture, and now we have to turn to the corner. Turn to the corner. Then left hand scoops left foot in, and you form your nice chi ball. Your tailbone is heavy. Now turn the doorknob, step to 12 o'clock. As you weight shift forward, condense it down, and just think of one hand sinking, one hand floating. At this point, you need to squirt that back heel back. You just pivot on the ball of your foot to about a bow stance. In other words, you're not over squirting. Weight shift back. Now you have the two balls in your hands and you're going to turn them, or two doorknobs. Turn them and scoop the right foot in, and now we're in position to do the same form. And just a note here, I'm guilty of doing this myself. But you don't want to be tippy-toe. Again, that also brings the breathing up high. Now let your heel be heavy. Even though it is off the ground just a little bit, it's heavy, it's not up. Now, turn, place the foot, condense it, and then float the one hand, sink the other. Very nice. All right, let's do that sequence a couple times. We'll just go ahead and start here. Tailbone heavy, as is this heel here. We don't have it way up, we're just sinking it down. And now feel the space under your right foot, turn that space, step to 12 o'clock, condense it down, float, sink, squirt. Weight shift back, turn the doorknobs in your hands and the dantian in the toes, and then scoop the right foot in, sink your tailbone, sink this heel. Sink the hip and swing it across, condense it, float and sink. Very good. Tailbone's heavy, hip joint's heavy, heel is heavy. Turn the floor, 12 o'clock. Condense it. As you weight shift forward, float one hand, sink the other. Now, just do a check. If you need to look, make sure that this knee is bent and that you don't have it straight. It's the same amount of bend, and really you can make this 50-50. Technically, it's about 60-40. Now, squirt your heel. Then turn the doorknobs, everything all at one time. Scoop in the right foot, tailbone heavy, hip joint heavy, heel heavy. Turn the doorknob under your left foot. Float it, sink it. If this hand is sinking, this qua is sinking. Now from here, we're all set up for the pi. You've got the pi now in your left hand. And we just weight shift back and then turn, and we just leave. You can turn this hand a touch, but it still stays facing down. and then we just get set up for the pie. Every time we do pie, you're holding the pie and the other hand is near the elbow, just a little bit like that, not right here. And your elbows are down. Heel is heavy, hip is heavy. Across the railroad track, and then as you come forward, think about, even though you're this time's coming forward, that it's floating and receiving, and this one is sinking, this one. Okay, if you need to, squirt your heel. That just sets us up for turning to the corner. Then this left hand is going to turn to pick up the pie, and the left hand sinks down as the right hand floats up. Sink your hip, your heel. Step across the railroad track, and then the right hand sinks down, left hand receives the energy. Both knees bent. Okay, let's do a couple more of those, practice those, and then we'll string it together. So the serve the hors d'oeuvre is actually called parting wild horse's mane. So let's sit down and just relax this hip, relax your heel, hold a big ball, elbows down. Turn the floor, step across 12 o'clock, condense it down, sink your right, float your left, squirt the heel. Weight shift back. Now you're going to turn the doorknobs or turn the balls in your hands. Right foot comes in, sink your hip or relax that hip, relax your heel. 12 o'clock, condense it, float one, sink the other. Both knees bent. Now you're holding the pie, turn, and now just bring the left foot in and your right hand lifts up just a touch. Across 12 o'clock, now the left hand sinks down, right receives, and this quad remains back. Now we're gonna, if you need to, you can squirt your heel. Now pick up the pie with the left. Right hand sinks down, left floats up. Cross over the railroad track. And then this one, as you turn your dantian, it just drops down a little bit, and this one receives. Yeah, doesn't that feel nice? If it doesn't, take smaller steps and just think down, because I think in our effort to expand, or in our effort, that's the thing, we're trying hard and we go up, and that just creates tension. Okay, so if you're feeling any discomfort, it probably means that you're over rotating or you're up too high and you're just not letting gravity work for you to stay nice, and you see both knees bent. Okay, now we're going to string the 4 forms together. Let's go ahead from the 12 o'clock position, and we just finished our commencement form. Now turn toward your right corner, keep your nose over your dantian, toe goes with it, and then scoop in your foot and hold that big ball. What's happening with this elbow? Is it up? Nope, it's down. Your hip is loose, your knee and heel is loose. Step across the railroad track, condense it down, sink your right, float the left. Squirt the heel, come back, turn everything. Scoop in the right foot. Across the railroad track, float and sink. Sink that back hip. Ah, nice. Then turning, we just keep our hands the same. Step in for our push the pie or brush knees, what it's called. Across the railroad track, this one sinks, this one floats, and your quad stays down and back. Now you can squirt your heel. Pick up the pie with your left hand. I have to step back. And then come across, and then let this one sink as you turn. This one floats, and your back quad sinks down. Now, as a general rule, your elbow should be below your shoulder. If you're up here, creates the breathing up here. Sink it down. Okay, now from here, you're with me, right? Okay. From here, we're going to go into waving hands and clouds to the left. So this is really simple. All we have to do is just come in to position. There's no complexity there. Then we'll do our waving hands and clouds. I'm going to move through it kind of quickly. Dun, 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 dun. And then we'll do the single whip. Then we do our kicks and so forth. So you see, you're kind of in familiar ground there. Okay, well, let's try to put this all together from the beginning. Here, I'm just really feeling my spine open up. And I do that by just letting my upper body pour into my sit bones. And my tailbone is just heavy, and I envision it touching the ground. My arms are heavy and loose, and the feather is piercing the sky. And then we separate our feet. And as we weight shift, go ahead and stand up. And then as you sit down, imagine the space expanding all around you, and that's what lifts the arms for you. Then you don't have to lift them very high. And then we have a heavy cape across our shoulders, across the elbows, wrist and fingers sink down. Now we have to get to our right corner. So we turn our nose toes dantian, not too far, and scoop in your foot and hold your ball elbow down. Then cross the railroad track, condense it down, and then float one hand, sink the other, squirt the heel. Turn the doorknobs in your hands, toes, nose, dantian, scoop it in. Feel that space under your left foot, turn it. As you weight shift forward, one floats, one sinks. Both knees bent. Keep your posture. Hold the pie, and all we do is turn to the corner. Make sure you're not turning too far. Then we come in, and I'm going to have to back up. And now turn that space underneath your right foot, and then your left hand sinks. Right is receiving, it's floating and receiving my energy. Squirt your heel. Now turn the left hand, pick up the pie, and get into position. Sink that right hip and your right heel. So floating and sinking. Then from here, waving hands and clouds. Right hand scoops in the right foot. Hold your bell, read the book, turn. Tailbone heavy. This hand going through the screen to me. Come back to the front. Now keep those hands in front of your body. Keep your chi space. And let it expand. And you can toe touch or kick. Press that ball down. Join it as one, condense it, open it. Now as you place this right foot down, there's no weight, turn your dantian. We're waving hands to the right. Now left hand, scoops in, reads the book. Left hand brings the toe around, right toe to the corner. Adjust your feet to shoulder width apart. Condense this down, and then feel the space all around you. Expand it in front, behind, underneath, above. And now heavy shoulders, heavy wrist, and fingers. Then we just completely let the arms hang loosely and come back to Wuji. Okay, I believe I told you this before, but I have loaded up the full Flow Yang form set on my website. It's that part where you have to put in the password, and the password is Susan, DG, with a capital S. And so just add that into there, and then you'll go to the little drop-down list, and it'll say Flow Yang. Now, what the Flow Yang form set is everything that we just did, and then there's the form at the end, which I believe I showed you last week, which we'll start to learn next week. Okay, stroking the bird's tail, and the beginning of it's very similar to serve the hors d'oeuvre. And that part is at the end. So if you want to familiarize yourself a little bit with it, then I'd suggest you go ahead and check out that video. Okay, well, let's do our cool down. And I think let's do some nice chi gathering. Let's place the hands in front of our dantian. And feel the space underneath the arches of your feet. And imagine that that space is expanding. And I want you to go through the top of your head and down your spine visually and into your dantian and see it. And see that center point in the middle of your dantian. And now expand from the dantian. And allow that space to increase. And now not only is it increasing from the forearms to your hips, from the toes to your fingers, but it's also increasing behind you. And now it's filling the entire room, this space. And now it expands further, and you're expanding beyond the room, out into your yard, your neighborhood, the whole town in which you live, and now the whole state of Texas, the United States, the world, and now the galaxy. And as you open, it's into infinity, and receive that energy into your mind, and move that energy now into your heart. And now move it through your body to the dantian, and condensing that space between the palms of your hands and bringing it in and storing it in your dantian as a reserve, so that you have that available to you anytime you have a challenge, physical, mental, emotional. You have that to draw from. And now we'll gather up any remaining heavy chi, gather it up, squeeze it down, breathe in and release it off into infinity. And another bundle. And release it. And another bundle. Grab a hold of it. Physical, emotional, energy that's heavy and wears us down. And just let it go. No longer a part of you. And so now we take our right hand and we make a fist for strength, and our left hand is open for friendship. We take our thumb and fold it and bow it down, and that is for humility. And we keep our elbows in front of our body so that we still have space. And we join these together as we've joined together today in strength and friendship and humility.